Felix here, and welcome to this pre-market live. I want to walk you through the big warning from Wall Street's finest investment bank trying to scare the bejesus out of you this morning. I want you to do the following. I want you to understand the warning. I want you to know how you can profit from it, yes. And I also want you to know and understand how you can protect your money if the doomsayers on Wall Street turn out to be right. Does that sound like a plan? I hope that sounds like a plan. I put a little poll out here for you and I asked you, what's your current process for reaching your financial goals? About 300 of you have voted so far. And the majority are saying, I want to learn to manage my investments. That's a good strategy. They're working harder, they're getting another job, and the hope thing, they don't really work. So I'm glad most of you are on the right path here. So quickly here, let me just ask you this, because I want to make sure that you get the most out of the next few minutes here watching this. What are your main goals with investing? Put it in the chat. Is it A, retire? Put an A in there if it is retire. If it's travel, put a B in there. If you want to buy or pay off your home, put a C in the chat. Or if it's like, looking after your children or family or something more on that line, put a D in there. And if it isn't one of those four, I don't know. I didn't think of it. So A says Nayukitu. Where are you from, Nayukitu? That sounds sort of Japanesey, doesn't it? Auntie Rousey says look after children. Okay. Okay, a lot of A's here, a lot of retires, a little bit of travel, a little bit of family, a splattering here of family, yes. A, B, C, D and more, okay, I love you for that. Fox Gaming, you are one of the A, B, C, Ders as well, brilliant. Okay, A, B and C, yeah, you can of course multiply choice, make money, start a business, have some fun, okay. But I think the majority of you here, most of you are here for the A, for the retire, right? Get out of that boring cubicle or whatever it is that they have you strapped to. So how's that going for you? Do you think that there are opportunities out there that you're maybe missing out on? Do you think there's stocks that are exploding today that you're missing out on? Have there been opportunities this last year that you wish you would have been in? You think you're leaving money on the table? If you are, put a 1 in the chat for yes. If you just think, no, I'm God's gift to the investment world, I'm, Jesus, the markets part when I approach them, then put a 2 in there. But if you're leaving money on the table here, let's hear it. Pascal, he knows everything. Go talk to Pascal. He's the new messiah of investing here. But most of you, most of you are putting 1s in here, and you think you're leaving money on the table, right? And we all are to an extent. I leave money on the table, but I also make some pretty serious money on the table, so I'm pretty happy. But do I think I can get better? Yes, I can. How do I get better? I have literally about almost a dozen mentors that I employ, which is brilliant. So I'm in a very, very lucky situation because I can literally tap into brilliant brains right, left, and center. And that's how I learn. That's how everybody learns, right? There isn't a single brilliant investor out there who just sat in a dark corner and, read something. No, it's not how it happened. Maybe that's what they tell you because they want to look like a genius or something, but that's not how it works. Everybody who's a brilliant investor had somebody who taught them, right? Every banker, every hedge fund guy, every Bill Ackman, every Warren Buffett, they had a mentor, somebody who taught them, or multiple mentors, right? So who's yours? That's what I'm asking you, right? Now, I can get you started. I can get you started by giving you a free masterclass where I teach you how to spot those breakouts so that 2025 will be your best year yet, and also teach you a little bit about risk management to make sure you keep your money. And we'll go into what's happening today in the market and we'll find some actual real opportunities here and I'll walk you through those and so on. But ultimately, you have to have the skill level and the confidence so that when I ask you, do you think you're leaving money on the table? You're going to be saying, no, I'm good. And I'm asking you, how are you going to get to retirement? You'll say, I know exactly how to get there, exactly how long it's going to take me because I know exactly what I'm doing with 100% confidence. And when the market wobbles like it did at the end of December, right? You're not running around like, oh my God, should I sell? Should I buy? Should I sell? Let me ask somebody, let me phone a friend. You're like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm calm, I'm smiling, I'm enjoying the dip. That's where I want you to get to. And that's a real place. That's a real place where you get to once you've been through this for a little while. But in my humble opinion, you need somebody to guide you. because I just don't think it's possible without. I would never have gotten to where I got to without guidance. I'd say it's an impossibility. I mean, there might be somebody out there who could do it, but you got to basically learn. You got to learn from somebody, and it is the most important thing that you can learn, in my humble opinion. Yeah, you can go to the gym, you can lose weight, you can do all these wonderful things that'll make you feel a little bit better. But ultimately, if you want freedom, if you want to decide when you wake up in the morning, then, and Lynn, if are you still on the chat here with us, Lynn? I saw you post this at the very beginning of our live chat here. That's why I took us to the screenshot of it. You said, thanks, Felix, love the training, taking advantage of your wonderful coaches, and up 38%, started in mid-October 2024. Very happy. And Lynn, nothing makes me happier than that. So keep doing exactly what you're doing, Lynn, and keep learning from my mentors and now your mentors, because that's really what it's all about. So, shall we move on? Are you going to watch the masterclass? Are you going to watch the masterclass? Are you going to do it today? If you're going to watch the masterclass today, put a 1 in the chat. Okay, I want to see it. I want to see that you're actually going to do it. And then let's run you through what I promised you. The big warning from Wall Street. What does it mean? Should we be panicking? Should we be digging, igloos in the backyard, moving to Greenland, or should we just understand the warning, learn to profit from it, and protect our money at the same time? If you're interested in that, stick around for the next couple of minutes here. How's Winston? Oh, Winston is absolutely glorious. I might even be able to find a little photo for you here, because he did a really nice hike today. Let me see if I can find that at the same time. So you're distracting me when you talk about dogs, you see. It's a dangerous thing to do. Okay, there's a lot of ones here. Brilliant. And a lot of you have already watched it. I love you for that too. Absolutely brilliant. Watched it several times. Watch you every morning. Brian, brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, so let's dive into what Goldman Sachs is putting out here. And this is the actual note. You don't need to read it. It's a bit weird in wording, and bankers express themselves very oddly. But what they're essentially saying is that they're seeing the biggest sell-off by hedge funds, and I alluded to that yesterday a bit. Now, why is my mouse on the wrong screen? Okay, I'll use the other mouse. So they're saying here there is a thing called fund spreads. You don't need to understand what it is, except that the blue line on here is the S&P, right? The blue line is SPX. Sorry, I have to write with a mouse. My pen has decided to take over the wrong screen. Can we fix that quickly? Hang on, maybe we can fix that quickly. No, apparently not. Okay, never mind. We will soldier on. So they're basically saying, look, these two should move in line as they always have done. And at the moment, the red thing is coming down significantly here. And therefore, we're seeing very, very significant selling here, which means it's the fastest selling of stocks by hedge funds in the last 7 months, suggesting a more cautious posture here into the market. So what does that therefore mean? Well, here is another Goldman trader who also put this out, Vincent Lin. He said, again, hedge funds sold US equities in each of the past 5 trading sessions at the fastest pace in more than 7 months. And then he puts out a very boring report that I'm not going to bore you with. So what does it mean? Does it therefore mean we should panic? Does it mean we should be selling because they are? Or do we have to ask ourselves and think, well, what's really happening here? Like, what's the reason for this? Why does a market sell off, right? And we'll look at a few of those things. Why does a market sell off, and what's the likely outcome here? So this is one of the things that's scaring people. And again, this is pretty technical. Most people don't understand this. So if you're looking at this going, what's he on about? That means you're normal, right? I'm a bit weird. The green thing here is the US 10-year yield. And it's gone up quite a lot, right? You can sort of see that it's gone up quite a lot. And then in purple, we have the NASDAQ. Now, what typically happens to the NASDAQ when the 10-year yield goes up? Typically, it goes down. And same thing when the 10-year yield goes down, typically the NASDAQ goes up, right? Right now, they're both going up, and that's pretty unusual, and at least sort of gravity would tell us that the NASDAQ should go down as this 10-year yield continues to go higher. And that's one of the things that's spooking people out. It's freaking people out. So what does this all mean? Well, what this all rests on is fear. It's simply that. There is some fear out there. We've gone up a lot. We've had 2 years of 24 and 25% returns in the market. And therefore people think, oh my God, it can't get any better than this. Well, it can. Historically, the third year after plus 20+% returns, we go up all the time. So there's a 100% historic likelihood that 2025 is going to be another good year. So that doesn't really do it for me because fear itself doesn't really bother me. Now, the other thing is the Trump administration. And there are still some people out there who think that, he's going to break everything and therefore it'll be the end of the world. The economy is going to collapse and, tariffs will cause tremendous inflation. I had lunch with a good friend of mine who's very successfully ran a very, very large company as chairman and CEO. And he said to me, tariffs don't really cause inflation on a meaningful basis. And he's of course right. Why? Because what do tariffs do? Even if he puts tariffs on everything, right? Say we get those 80% tariffs on everything or something. So now everything you buy in a store is, I don't know, some element more expensive, right? So more expensive stuff. But this is a one-time increase. And do you know that inflation is calculated by comparing it to last year? So what happens after, what happens? Immediately you get more inflation, right? But what happens a year later? 1 year later, there aren't any new tariffs. So things aren't going up anymore. So inflation is basically back to where it was. And then very likely, enterprises smart, they'll find a cheaper supplier somewhere where there's less tariffs or make it domestically. So 1 year later, inflation is gone, basically, whatever inflation you caused. So why the heck would the Fed, who do have just about enough brain cells to understand this, and let me know if this makes any sense. Does this make any sense? I mean, it makes some sense at least. Put it in the chat, like put a smiley or something in the chat. The Fed knows this, so this is just a temporary inflation blip. Why would they raise interest rates? Right? That makes no sense. They know that higher costs will probably slow the economy anyway, so why would they bother doing that? And if the government spends less money at the same time, that's actually deflationary, because the government is the one that causes all the inflation. Okay, some of you saying, smileys here, brilliant. Pascal, you're the cheeky one today, aren't you? So that isn't really the cause of it. And then what else is Trump promising to do? He's promising to lower taxes, right? Lower taxes do what? More profits for companies. Is that good for stocks? Yes or no? Yeah, it is yes, right? Rhetorical question. And then lower regulations. Is that good for companies and profits? Yeah. So I don't really see it. So unless there's some weird big event that happens somewhere in the world, the only thing that's going to happen here? We're going to get another short squeeze on hedge funds. And we've been through that a few times in the last few years. And what does that do? Higher market, higher stock prices. So the hedge funds are doing the weird thing hedge funds do, which is charge people a lot of money and underperform the market, as most fund managers tend to. So I don't believe in any of this. Buy Canada. Yes, if you want to, you can buy Canada. I suspect that's going to be a little bit unlikely. But seriously, what's the news that just came out today? So let me walk you through some opportunities here, because I told you I wouldn't just explain the concept. I'd give you some opportunities, and I'd also show you how to protect your money today, right? So let's do that. Maybe that's worth a like or two. 317 likes, 2,500 viewers. Tough crowd this morning. Is TJ making fake accounts? Who's TJ? Am I missing something here? I'm clearly missing something here. So 1,000 of you have now voted. 16% still think hope's the strategy. Okay, I hope we can do something about that in the next few minutes. So NVIDIA CEO, long speech yesterday. I watched it, super interesting. We're working on a breakdown video of that. And what's he saying? He's saying the autonomous vehicle revolution has arrived. After Waymo's and Tesla's success, it is very, very clear autonomous vehicles have finally arrived. That means every car in the world is going to have the latest what in it? Chip, exactly. NVIDIA chip, because they're the ones that make the best self-driving chips. So who's this bullish for? Who's this bullish for? Anybody? Is this bullish perhaps for NVIDIA? Yes, I would argue this is bullish for NVIDIA. Maybe also for Tesla, maybe a little bit for Google, and maybe a few others. But mostly NVIDIA, right? Vicus Patronus. That's a very Latin name there, my friend. Who's been sniffing the opium? Logan's going to find you out and, you know, clobber you into sensibility. Opportunity number 2. And you might want to write these things down because you'll forget. Trust me, you forget. I always look at things and I see, oh, that's a good idea. I should put that. I should make a note, and then I don't. And then 12 hours later, I'm setting up my brokerage account and I'm thinking, there was this good idea I saw yesterday. I wish I'd remember what it was. Micron. MU ticker symbol. I took a screenshot just in Trade Vision here, and what do you see? Actually, let me open it up. Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Something funky going on with my mice today, not the ones that the cats chase. KMD, that's another interesting one. Actually, we should probably leave that window open as well, because that's an interesting one to look at in a second as well. But MU, first of all, what do? They make memory, right? Micron Technology makes memory, and they're going to be providing the memory for NVIDIA's GPUs. This is a stock that's done very, very little. It's beginning of 2022. It's up 3%. If you traded it with us, you would be up 8%. Still a double the outcome, but still a pretty sorry state of affairs. And guess what? This looks like it might well be breaking out here, right? Or it's about to. We're up pretty nicely pre-market, about 4%. So this looks pretty sweet, trading at $103.40 right now at this blue dotted line, which is, yeah, not quite the high end that we've had here recently. So we could, if you're a bit more cautious, you might want to see it up to 110 or so. But watch out for volume today. The chosen one, Jensen Huang, announced them as NVIDIA's official memory partner for their GPUs. I think that could be a real opportunity. That one could really run. Because think about it, the stock has done nothing in 2 years, right? Nothing at all. That's kind of interesting. What about this one? What I just said about self-driving, and that's an opportunity for NVIDIA. Who else is this an opportunity for? What does he call it? He calls it a multi-trillion-dollar industry. How do you figure that? It's like Uber on steroids, right? Just imagine that. Every car out there, every truck, every delivery van, every taxi, every bus, all driving themselves. And there is a software behind it and there's hardware behind it, and they basically collect some sort of recurring revenue stream in terms of a subscription. And that might be part of NVIDIA's software package. It might be Tesla's FSD powering or Waymo's or somebody else's. And that revenue is tremendous. Uber does about 4 billion trips a year. 4 billion trips a year, right? That's deliveries and actual Uber kind of taxi type things. And that's it. How many people take Ubers, right? It's basically just a tiny part of the country, major cities, relatively affluent people, mostly that sort of thing. Imagine this becomes a worldwide phenomena where people no longer drive their cars. And maybe you love driving your car, and therefore you think this is never going to happen. No, it's never going to happen. This is my freedom. I like driving. And that's entirely your prerogative. But that will be a luxury. It'll be a hobby. It's a bit like I'm thinking of buying a classic car, right? It's a hobby. It's a weird thing when you buy, one of those old cars nowadays. That's what driving will be. And most cars will not have a steering wheel, and there'll be these sort of, lounges on wheels, and most people won't own a car. Yeah, because it'll just be cheaper to pay some sort of subscription service where cars come to you whenever you need them. And then some people will own cars and they'll run them as a business. And those cars will drive other people around when they're not using them themselves, and that would be an income stream. So that's what's going to happen here. Fox, thanks for keeping the spammers at bay. I appreciate you for that. So that's an opportunity here. Tesla, right? So we've got what? NVIDIA, we've got Micron, we've got Tesla here. And if you look at the Tesla chart, Tesla. Again, this is in Trade Vision here. This is our Trends AI indicator. Tesla, in the last 2 years, is down 2%. It's a real miserable underperformer. Trading it, you would be up 57% if you followed what we'd done. And if you'd really followed what I do, which is I use options for it, and it's something you might want to learn. I mean, start with stocks. It's definitely the easier place to learn, but we're up, what are we up? 166% here. You can also track your trades in Trade Vision. The link is down below. There's a trial for it. You can check it out, and then you can really see like what you're buying, when you're buying it, and why you're buying it, and it's really good. It's very useful. And you know what this is even more useful for? Well, A, for gloating, but B, for for bragging shamelessly. But actually, if you have losers, which you will always have if you trade and invest, for analyzing those, because that's actually where we learn the most. So that's really, I think, the real use case here. So now we have opportunity numero tres here. And this is a really nice chart, I think. Because at the moment, what we're talking about is what? We're talking about FSD, right? Robo-taxis, which is the thing that takes Tesla from sort of here, the now, as an EV company, to a much, much bigger business and valuation. What's the next thing? It's robots. That's the way, way, way larger opportunity, because you need them in everywhere. Homes, factories, everywhere, right? All those self-driving delivery vans, who's going to deliver the package? Some sort of robot, right? Flying, walking, wheeling, whatever, but it'll be some sort of robot. So that's the real opportunity here for Tesla, I think. We're starting to see FSD robo-taxis in 2025. I do believe we're going to have robo-taxis on the road legally in the US from Tesla in major cities. And why? Because Waymo is doing it, and Tesla's going to do it way faster, and regulations are about to come in like that. But Tesla will be able to go from making FSD properly unsupervised legal, which means that every one of those 7 million Teslas on the road is a potential robo-taxi. Right? You just be able to switch it on, and it'll ask you and say, dear, whatever your name might be, John, do you want your car to make money for you? We've noticed that your car sits in your drive 16 hours a day. How about we drive it for the other 16 hours that you're not using it, and we'll pay you for it? Would you like that? And you know what? A lot of people are going to say yes. I know some of you will be like, no, this is my baby. I like it the way it is. And I've got all my snacks in the front. That's why my car looks. But lots of snacks. Snacks are important. Snacks for Winston too, of course. But a lot of people are just going to be like, yeah, I want this thing to make money and stop being this depreciating asset that's a huge burden on me. So that's going to be tremendous. It'll give a lot of people revenue, income. And what are they therefore going to do? They're going to buy more Teslas, aren't they? Why the heck would you buy another car if that car can actually make you money? This is going to change absolutely everything, right? Would there be any jobs left for us humans, says Sandeep? Not the repetitive kind, no. But if you look at the history of like revolutions, in the sense, industrial revolutions, right? What happened before the Industrial Revolution? Everybody worked the farms. There would be fields with thousands of people on it, right? And then we got combine harvesters and that kind of automation, and then everybody moved where? Well, they moved into the cities. They started working in factories. So everybody was working in these massive factories, tens of thousands of employees. And I've got some people in my family who used to manage, were managers in those factories, and they had 10,000 employees or something on the floor. Crazy stuff. And what happened then? Well, those factories got shut down because the robots took it over. So where did those good people then went? Well, they then went to work in offices, and they did service jobs. Right? So now those service jobs are going to go, right? So where are they going to go next? Well, there will always be highly skilled jobs. Honestly, you know what I'd focus on and what I do focus on? I'd look after yourself. Make some money as quickly as you possibly can. Learn how to invest it so that the money works for you. My number one employee is who? My number one business is what? It's my money. Right? And I have a bunch of businesses. I I don't know, 50 employees, or maybe probably a little bit more than that. And do they make me money? Yes. But who makes me the most money? My money. And I think that's the shift, and that's freedom. Like, I don't go to an office anymore. I used to have jobs. I used to have a 9 to 5, and then I bought an office and I employ people in the office, and I got rid of that. And now I wake up in the morning and I go, what do we do today? Right? What do we do? Oh, we should go for a hike. Shall we go for a walk? Shall we go play tennis? That's what I'm doing tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Shall we study? Shall we learn something? Shall we read a book? Shall we start a new business? Shall we check on the latest idea that we've had? You know, that kind of thing. And it's marvelous freedom. And yeah, it's a mindset shift from going somewhere every day. And it takes a little bit of time to get used to. But I tell you what, it's 10,000 times better than the greatest job on earth. So, you know, I think it's going to be good. It's going to be very good. So what's the next opportunity? I think that was 4 now, right? That's number 5. And then we look at also at the protection racket that we can do for ourselves. President Trump's Commerce Secretary choice, Howard Lutnick. He says, I have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin, and it will be billions. So how do you make money out of that? Maybe you like Bitcoin, right? Let me give you a bunch of ways to get exposure to Bitcoin. And again, obviously you got to do your own research, you know, and blah, 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 blah. I'm not telling you what to do, but you could obviously just buy Bitcoin, right? You could buy an ETF. There's an ETF called IBIT, and I have a position on that open right now. Do we have that in here? We have that in here. Yeah, we do. And we're down a little bit, a couple of percent, 4%. So, you know, just getting started. It's a zigzaggedy thing. You need a little bit of stomach lining that's fairly healthy for crypto, because it's a lot more volatile. What are some of the shovel businesses in the crypto space? Well, there is Coin, which is Coinbase. This is the biggest platform for trading cryptocurrencies. They're the #1 partner for all the institutional investors. It's Coinbase. So that'd be one. So what's the advantage there? That they make money out of transaction fees, not just out of Bitcoin. So let's have a look at the chart here on Coin. And again, they haven't actually had the greatest run, if I remember correctly. Yeah, here we go. So buy and hold over 2 years, you'd be up how much? 14%, right? If you just traded our buy signals, and you still need some good risk management for those and understand what they're doing, you'd be up 140%, 138%. Would you rather be up 14% or 138%? If it's 138%, then you know, you're not schizophrenic, which is it's a good thing, I think. You might want to get yourself a trial to trade, which links down below. So I think Coinbase is definitely an opportunity here. Hasn't done very well. It's not screaming by me right now, but we go a little bit higher, into the 300s. I think it might be the point where this thing blows off. And if this lot here is in power, which there will be shortly, and we're going to get all these confirmations of all the Trump people coming through in the next couple of days, I think Coinbase is going to be kind of the easiest play into it, unless you want to buy cryptos directly or you want to buy the ETF, right? So that's, I think, something. Markets open. Okay, brilliant. Fox, we look at that just a second. Let's just wrap this up here. So what are some of the other opportunities out there? Well, here is another one. If you watch me regularly, you know I'm a fan of RFK Jr., who basically hates pharma with passion like I do. So what's going to happen under RFK? Well, I think he's going to get confirmed, Jr., because some of the Democrats like him too, because he's sort of, you know, Democrat. He's a Kennedy after all. And you know, what he's talking about is basically, let's, you know, clobber the pharma people to death. Not quite, but he's basically saying, you know, a lot of the American health and food sector has just been corrupted by pharma. And that's, I think, a very good thing that gets tidied up. So what's one of the things that should, in theory, do very well out of that? And this is a little bit more out there. Psychedelics, I can't spell that. How do you spell psychedelics? I have no idea how you spell it. I'm just going to say it. I don't know how you spell that. But there's a stock here called MNMD, which I think it's called Mind Medicine. And they're one of those psychedelic stocks. It used to trade in the $20 zone about 2 years ago. It's trading at $7.69 right now. I'm going to watch that, because if RFK gets confirmed, I think these kind of stocks are going to see some serious breakouts. It was up 7% this morning as I was watching it. Is that still the case? Is the market's now open? MNDM. What is it? MNMD even. MD like, NMD. And it's up 2.2% here this morning after, not quite as much as it was, but still. So I think that's a candidate that I'd watch if RFK does get confirmed, and that might break out quite significantly here. What was the other thing I wanted to look at? There was also, oh yes, if you want to protect your portfolio, and we'll look at the live market in a moment, nothing happens in the first two minutes. Psychedelic says Crash Snodgrass there. You know about that kind of stuff, do you? Can you look at SoFi? We'll also look at that in a second. Sure, Fox, appreciate you highlighting that. The VIX. How does the VIX work? The VIX is not something you want to own in the long run. The VIX will always go down. Always. Will always go down. So don't own VIX for the long run. But when VIX is cheap in the sort of $13, $14, $15 range, we tend to buy the VIX, and then we wait for the spike, and then we close out on the spike, and then we short it on the way down. And that sounds mad, but it's actually insanely profitable, and I am going to do that as we drop here into the $15 range again. You can do that by just buying it. And again, I'm not telling you to do it. If honestly, with VIX, do it a couple of times in a paper trading portfolio because you really want to understand how that works. I do it with options, in which case you definitely want to get some coaching on that one because there is a lot more to it than appears. But yeah, I think that's a nice opportunity here again. All we need is a little bit of a hiccup somewhere in the world in the next 2 or 3 months, and we make a lot of money on that. Alrighty, some of you want me to look at SoFi right now. We'll do that straight away. And as I say, do get yourself a trial to trade vision. Very, very useful. Very, very useful. It's the tool that I use. Let's open a more detailed chart here on SoFi. Fox wants us to get to 1,000 likes. I appreciate your enthusiasm there, my friend. SoFi, yeah, what's the problem with it? It's up 1.8%. It's not too bad, is it? Not too bad. By the way, we fixed that little bar thing. We were missing a bar yesterday, weren't we? We fixed that already. So isn't that a good thing? I think that's a good thing. So our moving average line is here. So all we're doing is it's basically moving sideways. It's moving sideways, nothing wrong with that. Bit of a zigzaggy thing. It looks good to me. So I'm doing absolutely nothing. Our SoFi trade is still on. Where did it go? Here it is. We're still up 250 odd % on that little position, which we started in 19th of September here. So we are very, 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 very happy with that. And I'm hoping that we're going to get to $20 plus in the next couple of months. Yeah, all we need is a little hiccups as guinea pigs there. Exactly. All we need is like, Trump to say we're going to put higher tariffs on something, or something like just a little thing that gets the market excited for a day, and then we're gonna make a lot of money on those trades. So it's a very predictable thing to do. It's something you can usually do a couple of times a year, which is a really, really good thing to do. But it's probably not the place you want to start if you're just getting things figured out. In which case, I watch the masterclass over here, felixprehn.org/get-free, and get those foundations in place, which is the bedrock of how I make money. Tesla right now, let's open that on a bigger, more beautiful chart. Okay, Fox is also waiting for Fubo. Tesla uses AMD chips in the touch screens. Yeah, it's a pretty basic thing, isn't it? SpaceX also uses AMD. And guess why? Because in a space environment, you want to use something that's insanely reliable and not like new. You want something that's really, really, really tried and tested. So generally speaking, in space, they actually use technology that isn't that cutting edge, which is kind of weird. But let me just see what's happening here with the chart. Tesla, come on, you can do it. You can load it. Raimo, you signed up yesterday there, my Welsh friend. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Do I pronounce that right as Rye or is it Ree? It's probably Ree, isn't it? What's going on here with our Tesla chart? Something funky happening, hey? Interesting. The guys running an update while I'm live again. I love them for that. Okay, here we are. All right, Tesla is, okay, what do we look for? Well, a couple of things. We put on support lines because that's super useful. And that tells us support's at 375. We're nicely above that. We're actually in the middle of the support and resistance here. And that's very, very important to understand because that's really where the market is positioned. So this looks quite positive, right? We're down 0.8%. Honestly, we don't care about moves that are less than 1%. For a stock like Tesla, even moves that are like 2, 3, 4%, we still don't care about. You just have to grow a little bit of a thicker skin, set yourself a stop loss, and not worry about it. And at the moment, this is still an uptrend, is looking pretty good here. Okay, what was the other stock? Fox, what did you want me to look at? Fubo. Fubo TV. Is this the Disney thing? Fubo and Hulu Live TV announced. This is the Disney deal, right? Disney will own 70%. So that's like it's like a merger deal. So massive volume on that. That's institutions at that level, right? Huge breakout. Was it worth buying the breakout? Yeah, right? Like the vast majority of breakouts. And today looking very, very good again here at $5.87. And is it going to go up in a straight line? Very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. Almost every single breakout in the world does this, and then it does a bit of that, and then it tends to go back up. Not necessarily, but most of the time. So you're going to ask yourself whether you were a day too late on this one. Probably. Plug is breaking out. Oh, give me a break. Really? The one stock I should have shorted 2 years ago, Plug, because I was always saying how the business makes no sense, and I didn't short it, and I was kicking myself for years about this one. It is. You're right. Oh, wow. Look at that. What happened there? What's going on there? Favorable tax credit rules could make its hydrogen production more competitive, but they continue to lose money. Yeah, so this is not one. This is not a breakout I'd follow because it's a terrible business that makes no sense at all and just loses money and money and money. So I would not buy this one, to be honest with you. We have a lot of these attempts of breakouts already with this one. They tend to end in tears. Yours, not mine. Palantir, yeah, glad you look at that. The real problem with Palantir is that Kramer's come out and says he loves it, which is generally not really a good indicator. Down 3% here, but we're basically just at the bottom end of yesterday's trading range. So again, I wouldn't really worry about this. We're just in that sort of, see that little dotted purple line there? That was kind of the more or less the lows of December. We're still in that zone. We're still above the support line, which sits at 70. Sit here above the 50-day moving average line. Let's have a look at what the support is doing. Because if you can... Oh, we put it on the chart now. Oh, brilliant. Okay, cool. Oh, look at that. That's just happened. That's very exciting. Very exciting. Why is that exciting? Can you see these red ziggity-zaggity lines now? That's the historic support. So you can see that the support is moving down to 70. It was at 75 the day before, or 77. So that's people are getting a bit more cautious there. That's the market moving their hedges a little bit lower, which is a little bit of caution. But it's basically where we were in late December. So it isn't really that much of a deal. So that's quite very cool. They put that on the chart. Okay, I'm very happy to see that because I did ask for that. So if that makes no sense to you right now, let me show it to you on another chart. Let me show it to you on, say, Tesla. So what you want, the support resistance lines that we have, the red and green lines here, and it would be nice if we had support and resistance written on the chart here again, and I'll ask them to add that today. Then you can look at it just like the current level here, right? Resistance is at 450, support's at 375. So what you want to see, say, when you rally up like we did here, you want the resistance levels to move up. You want the support levels to move up because that's telling you that the market is actually moving their positions further up and up and up, like their real money positions are moving up. So what you can now see is the actual live move. So as we move up here on that rally, you see that our resistance moved up, right? It's come a little bit down here today. So that's going to be super, super useful as we have more and more of that historic data. And honestly, there is nobody in the market who has this data. We couldn't buy it for love or money, so we have to calculate it ourselves. We have to track it ourselves. And it's going to be super, super useful for us to see, is this a real move up or down, or is this just sort of like a flatter thing that nobody really cares about? You don't see those lines. Okay, change from current, here's support at the bottom, from current to history. If you change to history, you start to see that line. And we only started recording it in early December, but over time we'll have, you know, the history going forward. So it's going to be super, super useful. Always, they're asking, can I ask a silly question? The volume bar, it's not a silly question at all. If it's a bigger bar, it's green. If it's a smaller bar, it's red. That's all it is. So the red and green is different from the volume up here, right? Because that tells you if we've gone up or down. This just tells you whether the volume has gone up or down. And a lot of you have been asking about that. So why do we have that? Because volume is a really, really important indicator. If you're going up, you want your volume to increase. If you're going up and your volume is decreasing, what happens? You're about to fall off the cliff, right? So really important to understand that. How you get it. But we should probably explain that because so many people keep asking about that. We'll have to think about how we can put that on there without making it too convoluted. We're working on a ton of stuff there as well. Yeah, huge advantage that for sure. So yeah, make sure you guys have TradeVision. It's the platform we built. We're also working on, and I get access to it today, our breakout indicator, which is going to be super, super cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. I literally have cash sitting on the sidelines waiting for our indicator to take a couple of hours of my workload every week. What's the purple line? Oh, that's one that I drew in. So you can draw lines in here and then you can you can add text and stuff. That was just me drawing a line. So don't worry about that line. But yeah, brilliant. How to check volume? Literally just down here, it tells you what the volume is. So you see these bars down here, it tells you, you know, whatever the volume was that day, and you can see it. Actually, we used to okay, that's another thing that I want to. We literally updated the chart yesterday, so there are a couple of things that we can still tweak on that. So I'll make sure we get the volume number on there again. So, all right. Thomas says TradeVision is excellent. Everybody should subscribe. Appreciate you for that. Thank you. Any plans to add Canadian brokers to it? I'd love to see Quest Trade added. We haven't done that yet. Got Webull Trading 212. We got Tasty. We've got Robinhood now. We got Fidelity. There must be some more as well. I can see it here. I've seen it on the list, Quest Trade. Let me just see if it's actually there. Import trades. These are the brokers we support currently. Okay, yeah. So we'll definitely get Quest on there as well. More Canadians brokers and more also British and European brokers. Hargraves, for example, a lot of you Brits are asking for. So it's coming. It's coming. We're working on it, but we're trying to do everything at the same time, which doesn't quite work. But you know, we'll do our best. FOA says local Ohio guy. If you've been watching me for a little while, this is a stock we got into in September. This is a classic breakout. This is essentially the epitome of what my masterclass teaches. And we got in here, right? Somewhere here. I think at $9 and a bit. Yeah, 5th of September. We got in there. So let me draw a little line there. Give you an idea of what that does. We're trading at $30 right now. Not bad, right? And how do you do that? Well, you can find these trades every week. You really can. It's not that hard. It really is way, way simpler. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need lots of time. All you need to do is actually understand those rules. And then the next important part will become how do you manage those trades in very little time? How do you automate it? How do you get confident about it? But yeah, we're up 200% plus on this, which is really nice. Micron's breaking out. Yeah, we touched upon that earlier, Woot, there, because NVIDIA confirmed that they are their memory partner for GPUs. You can no longer turn off the support option, just switch between current and history. Okay. Is that okay? I'll have a look at that as well. I appreciate you putting that out there. Can you make Trade Vision payable with Apple Pay? It's coming. We'll have an app out shortly, and obviously we have an iOS app shortly, and then we'll probably also have Apple Pay option. But for the moment, it's a Stripe thing. So as long as you're in a credit card, you'll be able to do it. Do you automate your VIX exit? Yes. I set up an order on the basis of the price point, and then I try to set up a short at the same time. But yes, yeah, I would automate it, because I'm usually I don't stare at screens, I don't stare at charts, so I'm a big fan of automations. I don't really exit trades manually. It's really not a good idea. Can you make it payable with PayPal? Probably not. I mean, what's the difference? Stripe, PayPal, it's all the same thing, isn't it? It just needs a credit card. Like, you don't need to have a Stripe account or anything. So I don't think we'll add PayPal to it. I don't really see the value add, to be honest. It's exactly the same thing. Goog, yeah, I think Goog looks quite good. I agree with you on that. I think Goog is one of those stocks that could have a very, very good year. I'm also fundamentally pretty bullish on Amazon, for example. I think there are a few of the big tech stocks that could do very well. So we called a momentum buy here at 185. We're now at just under $200, and that means, all-time high, right? So above all the recent resistance and the resistance in the last 2 years. So the thing has a lot of chance to party, basically. Axel, you want to put in trades by hand? Yes, that is also on the list, my friend. It's going to come. There's a lot of stuff that we're working on. We're working on about a dozen projects in parallel or something. We've got a pretty decent team now, an amazing team, actually, I should say, of over 10 people working on this full time. So there's a lot of stuff coming out, and at an accelerated rate. So, and the beautiful thing is that if you join Trade Vision now, like we've never raised prices for people, right? We just keep it the same, and then people who come in later, they'll pay a little bit more for all the new features, but the people who are already in it, just to say thank you, we basically keep it the same for you. So there is an advantage in being a little early here to the sponsor. Link again is as I say, down below. And yet you like PayPal as a stock, Amy. Yeah, I think you got to separate the real world from the stock. I think that's always very important. I don't have an emotional attachment to any stock. Couldn't care less about any particular stock. All I care about is the bottom line. Is it making me money? If it isn't, I'm out, right? But I'm never going to support a stock or something like that. I think it makes no sense. You just want to you got to do for your business and your private life and whatever works for you. And then you got to do what works for your money. And I keep the two pretty separate. Google or Google. Google has more volume. The A shares have more trading volume. So I generally trade Google. They are very, very similar nowadays. It makes very little difference. But and Frilly, I absolutely love you for that. He says, I love that we all contributed a little to Trade Vision, our little feedbacks. And it's amazing. Every single day, I get to hear from you guys live what works, what doesn't, what you like, what you don't like, what the features are. And that's literally what decides what we build. And I think that's why this is going to be the best investing and trading tool that anybody's ever built, because we really listen to you. We're not some weird corporation that takes a bunch of money from investors and builds whatever they want. We've actually turned money away. Like, we've had people come to us and say, hey, can we give you X amount of money for whatever percentage? And we said, think about that. And we said, no. We're very happy just building what we love and what you love, and therefore building the greatest tool out there without any interference from anybody else who's got whatever agenda they have. So I think that's why we're building something. I mean, I use it every single day, and I know a lot of you guys are using it every day. So that's really brilliant. Kenny says, Great Vision rocks and it'll get better as it goes. Yes, it'll be, I mean, I think in a month's time, it'll be tremendously better. I think by the end of March, it'll be hugely better. And by the end of 2025, it'll be unrecognizably better. And the same applies if you go back, 3, 6, 12 months in time. New laptop arrived yesterday. I'm signing up this evening. So split fives, brilliant. Uber looks strong. Yeah, I think Uber again should benefit from the whole self-driving thing, right? From the whole Nvidia's talking about, should benefit tremendously from that. Up 2% here. There is still a little bit of this resistance zone here, right? All of these guys who bought here in that zone, they could be exiting potentially. So there's a little bit of that overhang there, but I think it's gonna come. mRNA is moving up quickly, really? Those bastards. Moderna, scum of the earth. Doesn't mean you can't make money with it, I suppose. Is it? Well, let's have a look at a bigger chart. mRNA. Even. So with Moderna, with pharma, the overhang here is RFK, Robert Kennedy, the man who hates pharma with a passion, almost as much as I do. And here we are. And he's destroyed some pretty nice... when did Trump get elected? 5th of November, right? It was trading at $56 or so, but it already had a pretty bad run because people were tired of getting vaccinated with the sort of bollocks. Breaking out above the 50-day moving average line, yep, that's pretty decent. Volume today is a question of whether that's going to catch up. But yeah, that's the first meaningful breakout we've seen in a long time. Is the 50 days still sloping down? I still think a little bit here, but it's starting to improve. Yes, it is. So it could be the bottom. I'd watch out for, are we going to see a lot of volume today before I do anything with that? Can you add paper trading to Trade Vision? My friend, that's also planned, both for options and for stocks, absolutely, because I think, again, that'd be super useful for people to learn. Could we have an option to edit option premium in TV to recreate trades, says Howard. Yes, absolutely. Now, you're not the first to request that. We want to add manual sort of trades in here, right? So at the moment, you can just import trades. Well, you could in theory fiddle your spreadsheet, but that's probably not a good idea. We're probably going to break it. So no, we're going to have a thing where you can just add a manual thing, a manual trade, both for stocks and options. So yeah, we're going to do that for sure. Alrighty. Now the other thing we're going to get in 6 minutes, I think we're doing a long one today, aren't we? I'm enjoying it, as you can obviously tell. So yeah, in literally 6 minutes, we're going to get the job opening data. So we'll stay live until we get that, because that's kind of an important one. What do we want? We want more job openings data or less jobs? What do you think? Do you think we want more? If you think it's good for the market to have more jobs, put a 1 in there. If you think to have less jobs is good for the market, put a 2 in there. Let me see what you guys think. Trade Vision own watch list with price alerts also coming, my friend. We're also working on that. Okay, we have a quick look as well at the market heat map here to give us a feel of where we are. Okay, most of you think more jobs would be good for the market. A few think, hooray, more unemployment, says Logan. Okay, so market is looking, Google's looking good, Microsoft's looking good, Tesla down, which makes no sense, Nvidia down also makes bugger all sense. AMD is up a percentage point, Qualcomm is up, Mu is in here somewhere and should be flying. But it's a pretty decent start to the morning. I mean, it's nothing, major, but pretty decent. ACN rather is up 3%. It's a lot of green though. Health stocks seem to be having a bit of a bounce this morning, as some of you mentioned already. Banks are also doing quite nicely. Margaret, I love that you wrote, I don't know, because that's kind of how most of us feel. Because what happens if you've got more jobs? You get more jobs, you get less cuts from the Fed. So interest rates stay higher for longer. The market doesn't love that. Now, if you have a lot less jobs, everyone's going to fret and worry about a recession, but you're going to get more interest rate cuts. So the market might love that, but it might also be afraid of the recession. So actually what you want it to come in pretty much exactly as expected. That's really what you want. No surprises is what we're going for. So about 7.7 million job openings would be brilliant. We don't really want it to be much higher or much lower because it becomes unpredictable. So I think Margaret deserves a prize for that one. How many TradeVision subscribers do we have, says Richard? I'm not sure, to be honest with you, exactly. I think it was something like 6,000 or something like that, which is cool. And it allows us to have a bigger team, basically, have more and more full-time developers, which is exactly what we're doing. So every basically cent of yours goes straight back into the development team and into better data and building out more stuff faster. So very excited for what's coming up there. We need the heat map in TradeVision, and you can get away from TradingView. Yeah, I agree with you on that one too. I am also lobbying for that heat map. You see, the trouble with building something is you got to always prioritize, right? You can't do everything at the same time. We'd love to, but you also can't hire that many people at the same time because you still need to manage them and stuff. So we're growing as quickly as we can. How much is TradeVision? I think it's $19 a month, or if you subscribe annually, I think it's $16 a month. So it's pretty inexpensive, which is really the goal here. Fox says we can hit 1,000 likes. We might be able to, actually. 868 likes. So in literally less than 2 minutes, we get the jobs opening data here. That's going to be very, very important. But for now, we're looking pretty good, right? Our trades are looking pretty happy. Yep, pretty happy all around. Money is all around us. It's everywhere I go, basically. And let's see what some of our big stocks are doing here. We'll have another glance at Tesla. Okay, that might be it. So Tesla, yeah, it's down a percentage point. Nothing really to worry about, I'd say. We're just sort of going sideways there. Nothing huge. Palantir is also down a little bit. It's down 3%, 4% now as we're watching this. Again, I wouldn't read too much into it. We're still sort of above the lows of, say, 2nd of January and late December here. And that's really what matters. We don't want to break below this kind of support level here from these December lows. I think that's the important part here. SoFi, down 0.6%. That's sort of neither here nor there. NVIDIA, it should be up given the presentation that the chief just gave, but it's down 2%. And that's sometimes one of those things. It's just like buy the rumor, sell the news type thing, right? So it flew up yesterday, and then today it's doing not a lot. Well, it's down 2.3%, basically filling the gap that we got up yesterday. An hour of Felix stream is rare. It is indeed very, very rare. Small space, I appreciate the feedback there on our team. We are, what normally happens is on Sundays, the team pushes out a ton of stuff because we know less people use it and the market's closed. And then by the end of Sunday evening, we try to, rudder half of it back because it wasn't quite working yet. But we're doing our best to push stuff out as quickly as we humanly can. Will it ever be a publicly traded stock for TradeVision? I'd invest, Mike. Never say never. Honestly, never say never. I mean, it's all possible. At the moment, we're very happy not to have investors because we can build what you guys want rather than what shareholders want or anybody else. So for the moment, I don't see it, but it could well happen. I'm not against it. Now, okay, jobs data coming in here, and 8 million. Oh, wow, that's a lot more open jobs than expected. A lot more, but quits have dropped. Okay, so that's kind of weird data. When less people quit their job, it's generally an indicator that the economy is getting a little bit worse. Not as many jobs are available, people not as confident to change companies. So in a way that offsets, I think, this job opening data of 8 million, which is sort of saying the economy is like, growing really strongly. So I don't think it moves the market all that much. But if you wonder what it does, what I'd always do is just open the QQQ chart here in Trade Vision and go on a minute chart. Literally, just click on a minute chart. Will the mobile vision, Trade Vision, be included in the regular Trade Vision price? Yeah, and of course we'll include it. We're not going to charge you extra for it. That would be silly. Not silly, but it's not really the way we roll. So no, it'll just be included in what you currently have. If you subscribe later, I don't know. I never promised that, but for the existing guys, I'll say that much. So the market dropping a little bit here on that news, right? That's on the first minute of it coming out. Now, bear in mind, bankers are simple minds. They need to have this explained to them, so I wouldn't read too much into the first minute. Give it at least 5 minutes, 30 minutes, and then 24 hours. Those are sort of the windows, but the initial reaction tells you a little bit about it. The initial reaction is largely driven by computers. So algorithms will read the data and they'll trade in the first second of it coming out. So that's the initial thing, right? So somebody programmed something that said, a lot more jobs out there is bad because we're evil people on Wall Street, and then we have to see how that plays out. And you can see by the spike here in volume, that's institutional money. Pulling up a little bit here. Let's wait for the next candle. He was mentioning ISM. David is mentioning ISM prices here. They're a little higher. Yeah, they're a little higher than expected. That's a little inflationary. Orders are coming in as expected. Service employment as expected. Business activities peaked up a little bit. ISM services, yeah, it's a little higher, but not that much higher. I wouldn't read too much into that. So I don't see this data really having a big impact, to be honest with you. Yeah, the market's like moved down 0.3% or something, but it's not a big thing. I don't think it's a big deal. And as Gary says, I'm ready for big correction so I can buy back cheap. Yeah, there's always that. So there we are. There's a little bit of a green candle coming in here. We're just spiking up a little bit. We'll see. But I don't think this is not really a huge shift in macro. This is like a tiny sort of scratch on the bump of the car or something. I wouldn't really worry about this very much. So there we are. We've done a long one today. I love you for watching. I love you for tuning in. Make sure you do one thing today. If you can spend 10 minutes or watching me here live, take the next 10 minutes and watch the masterclass and actually learn some skills. Here we go. The market's coming up again a little bit. Watch the masterclass and actually get some skills between your ears that are better than the skills you had in 2024, and will therefore allow you to have the best year yet. That's my goal for you. I hope that's the goal for you as well. So check it out, felixfriends.org/get free, and I wish you a beautiful